Hey Sanford fans, welcome into this week's edition of the Sanford Sports Wrap-Up presented by Alabama Power. I'm John McAfee, very happy today to be joined by Director of Development, Maggie Rountree, as we're going to talk a little bit about the Bulldog Club. Maggie, I appreciate you making some time.
Thank you for asking me, appreciate it.
Well, start by telling us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Samford Athletics, especially not having an athletic background yourself.
Yeah, so my journey, John, to Sanford started about 3 years ago. A dear friend of mine and former colleague introduced me to Hal Langston. As you know, he worked in development at the time and now serves as our Executive Associate Athletics Director of Operations. But Hal had shared with me that there really was a great opportunity to grow support for Samford Athletics. And with that in mind, he had been granted permission to add a position to the development team. So long story short, met with Hal. We talked about the opportunity. He extended me the invitation to join Sanford's team. Took some time to pray about it. Felt like the Lord was drawing me to Sanford. Accepted the position, and here I am. The rest is history. But yeah, so you make a really good point. So I did not compete as a college athlete, nor had I ever worked in the college athletics industry. And then to top it all off, as I know you know, I don't speak sports, or at least I might a little bit now. But we all know that during a basketball game, I have literally no clue what's happening on the court. So all those things combined, it does seem kind of strange. How am I in this position? But what I do know is I know people. I also believe very passionately in what Sanford represents and the mission of the university. I have a great deal of admiration for our student athletes and what they give not only to their program, but their coaches, their teammates, their training, their pursuit of a degree, all those things to me, I just am amazed by. And also, I believe very, very fervently in the importance of generosity and the power of giving. When you make a gift, it doesn't just bless the recipient, but it blesses you as the person who made the gift. There's a lot of joy in that. And so while Hal and Bo Kerr and Martin Newton really rolled the dice in inviting me into Samford Athletics, I hope that they feel like, because I know people and I believe in this university and our student athletes and the importance of giving, that hopefully I've been able to do a good job for the department. And I have to say, I love my job. I really consider it a privilege to be here.
For those that are not familiar with the Bulldog Club and what its mission is, just elaborate a little bit more on
Sure.
what the overall goal of the Bulldog Club is.
Absolutely, that's a great question. So the Bulldog Club is essentially the overarching, all-encompassing fundraising arm for Samford Athletics. So gifts made to Samford Athletics, whether they're earmarked for a particular sport, or maybe they're earmarked for a capital project like the stadium renovation project, or maybe they're earmarked for simply just the annual fund, which supports all of our sports, regardless of where those gifts are directed. Gifts to the Bulldog Club position our coaches and our student athletes to have the resources that they need to be successful, because honestly, John, here's the reality. One, expenses associated with operating a Division I athletics program, just the cost of doing business, we all know, I know you know, that those expenses go up every year. That's just the world we live in. The budgets that we receive from the university remain flat. So to make up that difference, that gap, if you will, that gets wider every year, that's where development, that's where fundraising comes in. Because at the end of the day, funding generates resources, and resources is what provides our coaches the opportunity to recruit, to retain, and then to develop those student athletes that are then positioned to not only compete within the Southern Conference, but to win championships, and then to graduate with a degree.
You have a couple of big events every year. You've got one coming up with the golf tournament in a couple of weeks. Talk about some of the events that you guys host every year.
Sure, yeah. So we have two key fundraising events, one in the fall, one in the spring. The Sanford Classic in T-minus 5 business days, October the 5th, coming up just around the corner. That really is our key, if not our most critical fundraising event. It's the largest for Sanford Athletics by far. That'll be our 6th Sanford Classic Golf Tournament that we've hosted and the 6th that we've sold out. And it's not a typical run-of-the-mill fundraising golf tournament. As you know, which by the way, thank you for volunteering this year and many years past, it is a golf tournament held, first of all, at Shoal Creek, which is impressive in and of itself, but it attracts C-level executives and business owners around the region. And it requires, as you know, an army of volunteers to host. So we're excited. Again, that'll be coming up October the 5th at Shoal Creek. And then our second key fundraising event is hosted in the spring, and that's the Samford Athletics Hall of Fame celebration. As I know you know, that event was scheduled for spring of 2020. Things changed, certainly as a result of the pandemic, so we have had to since postpone that fundraiser to the upcoming spring, which is where we'll then induct our 6 Hall of Fame inductees, including the late Pat Sullivan, at this event in the spring. And it's a great way to really celebrate the legacy of these former student athletes and what they've brought to not only their programs, but the department and the university, but also celebrate the future of Samford Athletics. Look at where we're going. Look at what we've accomplished. And it's that beautiful celebration of the past and the present and the future of Sanford.
For someone watching this at home and they say, hey, I want to give to the Bulldog Club, how do they go about doing that?
Yep, so giving is easy. I guess the simple answer to that is, one, you can make a gift literally right now, this very moment, if you go online at sanfordbulldogclub.com. You could also kick it old school and send in a check to Samford Athletics. It's very simple. But I would say that what people don't really realize, John, is that there are a number of different ways to give to Samford Athletics. Things you don't really think about, like stock, donor advice funds, retirement funds, property and real estate, charitable bequests, payroll deduction. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to give of your earthly treasures to this university, and it's certainly our responsibility as development officers to make sure that we communicate that and extend that invitation to others to get involved in that way.
What other ways can they support the Bulldog Club in addition to giving?
Great question. So outside of making a gift, if someone asked me right now, how can I make a difference? I would say, again, make that gift. Let me help you make that gift to anywhere you're most passionate. Secondly, come to games. Our student athletes require support in the stands, in our arena, and we're blessed that a lot of those games are free. So come to the games, bring your family, bring your kids, bring your neighbor, come and support our student athletes so that they can have that support from your presence and your cheers surrounding them. Another way to support is sign up for next year's Sanford Classic as a volunteer. It requires, hosting that event, more than 100 volunteers. So if your calendar is free in October of 2021, let me know and I will put you on the list to volunteer. And then the fourth thing that folks can do is share with me who I need to speak with. You know, I would be honored to introduce myself to other people who share that passion for our student athletes, want to make a difference. I would love to extend that invitation to them to get involved and to join us in moving the needle, not only for our department and our student athletes and our programs, but for the university. What a great way to support our university and putting Sanford on the map around the country. Let's do that together.
Maggie, I really appreciate everything you do, and I appreciate you taking some time to be here.
I appreciate it. Thanks, John.
That's Director of Development Maggie Rountree. I'm John McAtoose. That'll do it for this edition of the Sanford Sports Wrap-Up, presented by Alabama Power.